Welcome to the Screen the Screener College Basketball Podcast with your hosts, Mike Randle and Gus Kearns.
Welcome back to the Screen the Screener College Basketball Podcast, where we are on a mission to preview each and every one of the 357 Division I basketball teams. I'm your host, Mike Randle. Follow me on Twitter at RandleRand. And today we have a fantastic guest, one of the best that we've had, Jacob Gilyard from the Richmond Spiders, one of the leaders of the Richmond Spiders, one of our favorite teams, one of the most veteran-laden teams that has very high expectations this year in the 2021-2022 season. Jacob, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Jacob, listen, we are college basketball junkies, and we have loved watching Richmond for many, many years. Let's go back 2 years ago. Your team, fantastic year 2 years ago, 24-7, and then COVID hits. So just talk about how the last year has gone and the challenges with COVID. Everyone had to battle it, but I think it led to you guys all deciding to come back. 14 of the 15 players are back for Richmond because I think you feel there's some unfinished business.
Yeah, I think unfinished business is definitely the way to go. I feel like that's how Grant, Nick, Nate, and I all felt. Last year was difficult. We had a lot of expectations last year, being ranked at one point and then kind of falling off. I wouldn't give all the blame to COVID, but I think the pauses definitely made it a little more difficult for us to be as sharp as we usually are. I think when COVID first hit, it was obviously devastating. We were having a great season, like you said, 24-7. Definitely thought we were going to be an NCAA Tournament team, and then to have the bounce back year, kind of expecting that same record, kind of the same goals going to the tournament, and then just falling short. So I think that's what led us to all make the decision to decide to come back.
Jacob, let's talk about you personally. One of the most exciting players in college basketball. You know, we love looking at numbers and stats. And when you look at your stats, you can score, you can assist. But then there's that 3.6 steals per game. Just one of those odd numbers that you don't normally see. You're closing in on the NCAA record for steals. What does that mean to you? And talk about the pride that you take in your defense. I mean, one of the best defensive players in the country here.
I think it was something that was instilled in me pretty early on. You know, I was always taught that defense is going to lead to offense, and you got to take pride on the defensive end. And I think that's something that stuck with me up until now. So that's just something that I've always taken pride in and always thought was important. But 3.6 steals. I'm pretty sure I'm on pace to get it this year. God forbid any injuries. Yes. But it means a lot. I don't think there's 5 major stats: points, assists, rebounds, steals, blocks. So to have a record for one of them, or to even be close to a record for one of them, is really impressive. So I'm pretty proud of myself. I wouldn't say that very often. I kind of just would rather win than do anything. But I think in a couple of years, I'll look back at it and be really impressed with myself.
And you should be, sir. And I listened to Coach Mooney, who was getting interviewed by Jeff Goodman the other day, talking about this team and how senior night this year should really be an hour long in terms of listing all the accomplishments of this program. I mean, he is so proud of you guys and talks about how special you've been. Nick Sherrod hurt last year. He's coming back this year. Talk about that camaraderie you have with your teammates, because I would say, Jacob, this year, with all the transfers and everything going on across the country, a lot of teams are going to have to figure out how to mesh everyone together. You have continuity, you have experience, you have a bond, and Coach Mooney talked about it here with your group of seniors. The group here, the veterans, are going to lead this team.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cheesy, but we're a family. I think 1 through – we probably got 20 guys this year. 1 through 20 is all close, I mean, that leads to how we play on the court. Obviously, with the style of play we play on offense, we just have to have great chemistry. And it's been so easy to, be with the same guys for 4 years, and obviously it's going to be beneficial for us. I think a lot of teams are going to get off to a little shakier start with all the transfers and new people that they have on the team. And we shouldn't be one of those teams. We should be ready to go. Obviously having the fans back in the Robinson Center would definitely be beneficial for us. But, at the end of the day, it's all about leadership, and I think we have some pretty good leaders. Grant and I, Nick and Nate. I feel like all 4 of us are leaders, and then obviously Coach Mooney is a big help for us.
Yeah, and it must have been tricky with the fans not there last year. That's going to be a big help for you. You know, you're going to get ready. You have the non-conference schedule. What was that like as an elite player in college basketball coming in last year with no fans and having to motivate yourself? What are the challenges there that you had to do? It must have been a very odd experience.
Yeah, it's hard to describe. We had a scrimmage the other day, closed scrimmage the other day, and somebody on my team was just like, it's crazy to think that this is how games were last year.
Yeah, good point.
But, just to think about it, it's I always tell people it was just a different style of basketball. It wasn't, like you go to college basketball, Division I basketball, it's a crazy atmosphere usually everywhere you go. So especially when you're pretty good and winning games, fans come out and support you. So to not have that is detrimental. So to get the fans back, I think it's going to be great. Obviously for me personally, I really like going to the road games and hearing other people's fans. I feel like it kind of revs our team up. So, to have that back is also going to be exciting.
I think that what comes with leadership is the ability to close out games. Richmond has ranked first within the A-10 in free throw shooting percentage each of the last 2 years. I would think that's something that you take pride in. You're the guy who's going to have the ball in his hands late in the game. You're a great free throw shooter. You're a pressure guy. I think that's something that you probably hang your hat on because it is difficult to close out games, especially on the road in the A-10 conference.
Yeah, no, closing out games is difficult. I think it's something that we didn't do really well in our first 2 years, probably because we were very young. But I think it's something that we've gotten a lot better at as the years have gone. So I didn't know we were actually first last year. I knew we were first 2 years ago, but last year, we've got guys that make shots. I think that's one of the things that we really do in our offense is we have guys that can shoot the ball. So free throws should come pretty easy. It's something that we definitely work on very, very often. It's something that we try to improve on. At the end of the day, it's all about closing out games, and the better you can do that, the more games you're going to win.
Yep, 79.6%, almost 80%. Just an insane stat here across college basketball. So now I want to turn attention within the conference. Preseason polls have come out. You guys probably don't pay attention to that stuff, but that's for people like us to do. St. Bonaventure here, the unanimous #1 team in the conference. You are right there behind them. Talk about your rivalry with the Bonnies here, the back and forth. You both are bringing back a lot of players, and you two seem to be head and shoulders above the rest of the conference. That's going to be some great battles with you and St. Bonaventure this year.
Yeah, they're #1, and I would say that's rightfully so right now. I think a lot of people were kind of counting us out. We lost our leading scorer, which is definitely understandable that what people would count us out. But I think this is where we want to be. I think we've been at our best when there's been a chip on our shoulder, and I think that's what the preseason polls have done for us. Gave us that chip on our shoulder, and just gave us a reason to show people why we feel like we're the best team in the conference. Bonnies is a really good team, really well coached, good players. And it's always a close game. It's not necessarily a rivalry. There's no hostility there. I would say our biggest rival is probably VCU just because the closeness that they are. But, Bonnies is always going to be a good game, and we know it's always going to be a tough matchup no matter where we play at, whether it's Olean or here.
I was just curious, Jacob, and I wanted to ask a player this. What do you guys do with the non-conference? We get excited as fans. We look at the schedule and look at the matchups. And, of course, I would say Coach Mooney and everyone here at Richmond focuses on the conference. How do you guys address the non-conference? I would think you'd be excited to have the fans back, but you do have a challenging schedule. You have some great teams coming up in the non-conference. What's your mindset here? Are you just raring to go to get out there in the non-conference? Or is there a difference between when you start conference play and when you just start play overall, which is going to happen in about a little over a week?
I would say that, we don't really separate them right now. I think when conference play hits, we kind of reset it and then just go from there. But, I think, starting, today, our preparation begins for NC Central. And so that's just kind of how we look at it. And we go game by game. Obviously, we know we have a really tough schedule. And I think from the outside perspective, we might see, we don't really see the Kentucky again, but we see North Carolina State, Maryland, potentially Louisville or Mississippi State. We play a lot of good teams, but, Drake's going to be really good this year. Wofford's always really good. Georgia State's going to be really good this year. So we have a lot of tough games, and I'm excited to play. I was actually kind of mad at one of our assistants for making such a tough schedule, but, it'll be good for us down the road.
Well, he does that, Jacob, right? Because he knows how good your team can be. Richmond has not been in the NCAA tournament since 2011. You were 12 seed then, beat Vanderbilt, beat Morehead State, beat Kansas. I remember back, I'm old enough to remember I was at a restaurant watching that game. It's a big win over Vanderbilt at the end. Talk about what that would mean. Is that the focus? I mean, I know you go one game at a time, and that's what Coach Mooney said, but I would think that that is a focus for this team to get back in NCAA tournament, which really was taken from you 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's hard to go around that. That is the focus. I think that's everybody's goal when you want to play Division I basketball. You always dream of going to the tournament, playing big teams, stuff like that. So that's definitely the goal. I think as far as individual goals for anybody on the team, I think we know how we need to play. If we play to our best ability, we should be in the NCAA tournament, and that's all that really matters.
One of the things that Coach Mooney mentioned was he feels that you can win with any style. He said, we may be at our best when we're getting up and down the floor on offense, but we also feel with our seniors that we can lock down in half court and win a half court game. Is that flexibility something that you see as well with this team, especially with all the veterans that, look, you want to play VCU when you want to run, you want to go a half court game, you have that versatility as the Spiders team to do that?
Most definitely. I think when teams look at us, they look at us as a team that runs the Princeton offense. I think that's people try and look at it like that, but at the end of the day, we're basketball players. We can play at any style. We've played against a whole bunch of different teams that slow the game down or speed the game up. At the end of the day, we just need to play to our ability, like I said earlier. And I think when we do that, we can compete with anybody.
Well, Jacob, listen, I appreciate a few minutes here. One of the most exciting players in the country, and you're a very humble person. That steals record is a big, big deal. It's hard work. You have a talent that most people don't have. You can score it, and you're a great leader for this team. So we want to wish you nothing but the best this year. Richmond Spiders, NCAA tournament, maybe an A10 tournament title as well, regular season. We are big fans of your program and everything you guys do, and it would be wonderful to see a veteran team with a great bunch of players like yourself really get to your goals that you want this year. We appreciate a few minutes and best of luck. We're rooting for you this year.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
I'm addicted to the appetite. Reserve a seat in advance. And get cozy in the candlelight.